Hello there. It's Being God's Obedient Servant channel. If you've been following along, as the title says, we're going to be doing Exodus 28 today. So it's this one's about 40 something verses, and I have to, for still YouTube problems, still got to keep it under 30 minutes. The video, so we're going to have to jump right on into this one. But yeah, if you're new to this channel, um, I don't know why you would be new to it in the middle of Exodus, but still, you could be. This is a Bible study channel where I read the Bible and explain certain things to it. Um, for those that may not understand the Bible as much, I do read from the King James Version, and that's the version I prefer. It's it's the one I know that God approves of because God blessed this nation being created, and this was the Bible that people that created this country, read and obeyed for most of them, not all, but most of them, and so I know He approves of this version. Anyways, go ahead and jump right on in here. So, if you have any questions, you can leave it down in the comments. If I see them and stuff, I will do my best to try to answer them. But I said a lot of this, right now, chapter 28 of Exodus is we're still in the part where building the tabernacle. Well, it ain't building, it's God giving Moses the specifications of how all of it's supposed to be and what he expects of it and everything else. So it's the good thing about being under grace and stuff, we don't really need a specific building to worship God in and stuff no more, because it said the main thing of a church is the congregation. The building is irrelevant. But if your congregation is not being led by godly people, then a lot of your congregation is going to be misled. And this is why it's up for the congregation to also know what the Bible says. So even if the person teaching, if they're wrong, you're supposed to call them out on it. But anyways, I said I'm going to go ahead and jump right on in here. So I got a little bit to read, so let's go ahead and jump right on in. And verse 1. And take thou unto thee Aaron thy brother and his sons with him from among the children of Israel, that he may minister unto me in the priest office. Even Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, Aaron's sons. And thou shalt make holy garments for Aaron thy brother for glory and for beauty. And thou shalt speak unto all that are wise hearted, whom I have filled with the spirit of wisdom, that they may make Aaron's garments to consecrate him, that he may minister unto me in the priest office. And these are the garments which they shall make: a breastplate and an ephod. People say it a little differently, but now ephod and a robe, and a broidered coat, a mitre and a girdle. And they shall make holy garments for Aaron thy brother and his sons, that he may minister unto me in the priest's office. And they shall take gold and blue and purple and scarlet and fine linen. And they shall make the ephod of gold, of blue, and of purple, of scarlet, and fine twined linen, with cunning work. It shall have the two shoulder pieces thereof joined at the two edges thereof, and so it shall be joined together. Okay, I'm going to get back to the other part, broidered, in verse 4. There's a part in New Testament where, it gives a commandment for women. Um, it's in Timothy. But it's saying that women now that are following Christ and being under grace, it's saying like part of that is unbroidered hair. A woman, a godly woman will have unbroidered hair. Broidered means fancy. As that says, and a fancy coat is pretty much what it means. Something other than natural is kind of what it means. So, like with God's commandment in the New Testament for women following Jesus and stuff, you're supposed to have unbroidered hair, which means not fancy, not other than natural. So, I didn't know if some people reading this, listening to this, would know what broidered means, but that's what it means, and it's in the Bible. I know of at least two times, here and in Timothy in New Testament. So let's go ahead and jump on in verse 8. And the curious girdle of the ephod which is upon it shall be of the same according to the work thereof, even of gold, of blue and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. And thou shalt take 2 onyx stones, and engrave on them the names of the children of Israel. 6 of their names on one stone, and the other 6 names of the rest on the other stone, according to their birth. With the work of an engraver in stone, like the engravings of a signet, shalt thou engrave the 2 stones. With the names of the children of Israel, thou shalt make them to be set in ouches. I forgot how it's actually pronounced. But it's ouches of gold. I had to look that word up, but yeah. So the ouches means pretty much a setting for the stone. And an indentation in something for a setting for the stones. That's what ouches is that part. And thou shalt put the 2 stones upon the shoulders of the ephod for stones of memorial unto the children of Israel. And Aaron shall bear their names before the Lord upon his 2 shoulders for a memorial. And thou shalt make ouches of gold, and 2 chains of pure gold at the ends of wreathen work shalt thou make them, and fasten the wreathen chains to the ouches. And thou shalt make the breastplate of judgment with cunning work. After the work of the ephod thou shalt make it, of gold, of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet, and of fine twined linen shalt thou make it. So we're seeing a little pattern here that God really likes gold, blue, and purple, and scarlet, and fine twined linen. But the reason for this is, well, you're going to be in this. You'll know that Aaron. Well, this Aaron and his sons. Actually what comes out to be. Aaron's the first priest, and his sons are also priests. These are the only ones that God's going to speak to in the tabernacle, and they have to have this outfit on before they can go in. Now, a lot of people says, well, why is this? Well, it's, no one but Aaron and his descendants are even allowed to wear these outfits. So, you're going to notice a common theme in the Bible is God wants his people to obey him. And Old Testament and New Testament, we must obey God. This is why this channel is called Being God's Obedient Servant, because we are supposed to be God's servants and we're supposed to obey. And whether we like the rules or not, we're supposed to do them because we know it makes the Lord happy, and that's what we want to do, is make God happy. And as God says, if you love me, you'll seek me. If you seek me, ye shall find me. And to follow God, it means, it's like the Ten Commandments. You're to love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. Um, Ten Commandments hasn't been made yet, but, that part would be coming up here. But, of course, we've already covered part of this in the other section where they're already given the rules of the Ten Commandments. And it's going to be written in stone later to go in the Ark of the Covenant, which is going to go in the tabernacle. So, but as I said, the main important thing is having a heart for the Lord and being obedient. That's the two main things that makes a Christian a Christian. If you don't have those things, then you need to, you really need to sit down and pray to God and find out what's going on then. So let's continue on here. 4 it shall be, being doubled. A span shall be the length thereof, and a span shall be the breadth thereof. And thou shalt set in its settings of stones, even 4 rows of stones. The first row shall be a sardius, a topaz, and a carbuncle. This shall be the first row. Now, I don't know some of these rocks or jewels. So I'm not a geologist on this, so if some people may know exactly what this is, but yeah, I'm not even going to pretend to know about some of these. I don't even care about jewelry or wear any. Don't buy it or none of that stuff. It's like, so I have no clue, but I know of topaz out of that one. So continue on, verse 18. And the second row shall be an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. And of course, I know those. Verse 19. And the third row, a ligure, and agate, and an amethyst. Have no clue. Verse 20. And the fourth row, a beryl, and an onyx, and a jasper. They shall be set in gold in their enclosings. No, a couple of those. And the stone shall be with the names of the children of Israel, 12 according to their names, like the engravings of a signet. Every one with his name shall they be according to the 12 tribes. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate chains at the ends of wreathen work of pure gold. And thou shalt make upon the breastplate 2 rings of gold, and shalt put the 2 rings on the 2 ends of the breastplate. And thou shalt put the 2 wreathen chains of gold in the 2 rings which are on the ends of the breastplate. And the other 2 ends of the 2 wreathen chains shalt thou fasten in the 2 ouches, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod before it. And thou shalt make 2 rings of gold, and thou shalt put them upon the 2 ends of the breastplate in the border thereof, which is in the side of the ephod inward. And 2 other rings of gold thou shalt make, and shalt put them on the 2 sides of the ephod underneath, toward the forepart thereof, over against the other coupling thereof, above the curious girdle of the ephod. And they shall bind the breastplate by the rings thereof unto the rings of the ephod with a lace of blue, that it may be above the curious girdle of the ephod, and that the breastplate be not loosed from the ephod. And Aaron shall bear the names of the children of Israel in the breastplate of judgment upon his heart, when he goeth in unto the holy place, for a memorial before the Lord continually. So pause there for a second. And this is where I've mentioned in the other video where you're going to see parts of this where it pertains to also in representation of what Jesus did. So he said, Aaron shall bear the names of the children of Israel in the breastplate of judgment upon his heart. So that judgment part, that's the main thing. Because just as Aaron has to wear the breastplate of judgment upon his heart, Jesus had to bear judgment upon his heart of our sins when he was on the cross. I said there's a lot of things in the Bible that ties a lot of things together, and you'll see significance, like the number 7, 40 days and 40 nights. Um, as I said, like we've already, 40 days, 40 nights, that's 3 times it's in the Bible I know of. Because at first you had it for the flood, it was 40 days, 40 nights it rained. Moses is going to be going up on the mount for 40 days and 40 nights. And Jesus was 40 days and 40 nights fasting, no food or water, while praying to God and going through his tests and stuff to prove his worthiness. He went, he's like he had to go through a lot of stuff of being tempted by Satan, so he would be ready to do the upcoming things that God needed him to do. So, anyway, I said, like, you got, things throughout the Bible that you're going to see. It's like, hey, I've read this before, but it's just been in another section. And so, but it's like, here it's like, there's very significance of this, there's a lot of significance of things in the Bible. There's reasons for it. And so, I'm saying, like, the more you read the Bible, the more you understand. And as Jesus said in this parable, he who has an ear, let him hear. Kind of the same thing. It's like, as you're following the Lord, and if you are of God, you're going to understand this stuff. It's going to make more sense to you. If it doesn't make sense to you right now, just keep reading through the Bible, then come back to it. Eventually it will, as you're learning more, as you're reading the Bible more. Because you're not going to learn it all at once. You're going to have to read the Bible, get done, go back, read it again. You're going to learn a little bit every time you read through it. You're going to learn just a little bit more every time. And so, as I said, like, I'm over 15 times reading the Bible, and I'm still learning stuff. Even right now, I'm like, hey, okay, cool. But yeah. So, anyways, continue on, verse 30. And thou shalt put in the breastplate of judgment the Urim and the Thummim, and they shall be upon Aaron's heart when he goeth in before the Lord, and Aaron shall bear the judgment of the children of Israel upon his heart before the Lord continually. So as I said before, anytime he comes into that special part of the tabernacle to speak to God, he has to be wearing this. And if he doesn't, believe it or not, God will kill him. It says there's very strict rules. Later on, we're going to be reading how 2 of Aaron's sons are, I think it's actually making, doing something, whatever with the breastplate or something. I'm trying to remember exactly what it is right now. But I said, coming up there, 2 of Aaron's sons are killed by God because they were being disobedient. And when God says you're a priest, you're to speak to the people for me, he puts a lot of seriousness to that. Like, we can kind of joke and have some games, and whatever, some fun and games about some things. But when it comes to the serious message part, he ain't messing around. He means it. But the thing is now, being under grace means he gives us far more times to fix ourselves before we wreck ourselves. That old saying, check yourself before you wreck yourself. God says, I'm giving you, lots of times to fix yourself before you totally wreck yourself. And that's, this is the good part about being under grace. But, anyway, to continue on, verse 31. And thou shalt make the robe of the ephod all of blue. And there shall be an hole in the top of it, in the midst thereof it shall have a binding of woven work round about the whole of it, as it were the whole of an how do you say habergeon, that it be not rent. And beneath upon the hem of it thou shalt make pomegranates of blue, and of purple, and of scarlet round about the hem thereof, and bells of gold between them round about. a golden bell and a pomegranate, a golden bell and a pomegranate upon the hem of the robe round about. And it shall be upon Aaron to minister, and his sound shall be heard when they goeth in unto the holy place before the Lord, and when he cometh out, that he die not. As I said, so he doesn't. It's before he can go in, the sound's got to be made, and then as he comes out, the sound's got to be made so he doesn't die. I said, because the holy place of the tabernacle is very serious. No one can go, no one can go in there or they will die. But yeah, this one little thing, it's kind of like a poncho that they have to make where it's got a hole over it, a hole in the middle of it, and it goes over his head, and it just drapes on him. So, anyways, continue on. So we still got some few verses, and we just got a little under 10 minutes left. Verse 36. And thou shalt make a plate of pure gold, and grave upon it, like the engravings of the signet, holiness to the Lord. And thou shalt put it on a blue lace, that it may be upon the mitre, upon the forefront of the mitre. It shall be, and it shall be upon Aaron's forehead, that Aaron may bear the iniquity of the holy things, which the children of Israel shall hallow in all their holy gifts, and it shall be always upon his forehead, that they may be accepted before the Lord. And thou shalt embroider the coat of fine linen, and thou shalt make the mitre of fine linen, and thou shalt make the girdle of needlework. And for Aaron's sons thou shalt make coats, and thou shalt make for them girdles, and bonnets shalt thou make for them, for glory and for beauty. And thou shalt put them upon Aaron thy brother, and his sons with him, and shalt anoint them, and consecrate them, and sanctify them, that they may minister unto me in the priest office. So Paul right there, so here it's like, this is God giving commandment to Moses. It says Aaron their brother. But it says, Moses has to anoint them because he's the one put over the Israelites at this point in time. So God primarily speaks to Moses right now and Aaron. And later on, this is the significance of the prophets and stuff, whoever is, God is speaking through at the time, throughout, from this time forward, there's many people God's going to speak through. And they're the ones that do the anointing, which is, there's this process, it's what they do with oil. And they kind of like do the little mark on the head and stuff. They anoint them for the Lord and stuff. But, see. This is Moses has to do this for Aaron and his sons and stuff before they can even go into the priest office. So they don't do that. All the other stuff is, they haven't been anointed yet, so God can still kill them for going in there. They will die. So, verse 42. And thou shalt make them linen breeches to cover their nakedness, from the loins even unto the thighs they shall reach. Yeah, because most people wore those things, even like you saw the movie 300, how it's almost like a short, I guess I don't know, a skirt or something of this. It's kind of like a jacket, but it's kind of like short. It's normally like just to the knees for normal movement. Later on, people's going to be all in full robe from top down and everything, but at this time, this is part of the stuff where, it's going to cover. These things are supposed to cover all their parts, even the full of their legs. So, verse 43. And they shall be upon Aaron and upon his sons when they come in unto the tabernacle of the congregation, or when they come near unto the altar to minister in the holy place, that they bear not iniquity and die. It shall be a statute forever unto him and his seed after him. So I said that's the other parts, like, the only ones, like I've told other people before, but like even today, in the only people that are allowed to be priests is descendants of Aaron. Has to be, have to be from the lineage of Aaron, the brother of Moses. I think that's it. Yep, that was it. So, and we got four more minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and end this here. Had quite a few little verses in that one, but a lot of it's straightforward. Well, I said these rules are mostly, these are for the Israelites. This is for them to worship God and everything, and for Judaism that we call it today. So most of this, like, all the little ins and outs, what the tabernacle's got to look like, how you got to be dressed, the ephod, the breastplate, and all, that don't pertain to us today. But like I said, these are like some of the stuff that does the differences between Old Testament and New Testament, which is the law versus grace. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this lesson here. That way, I don't make sure I don't pass the 30 minutes and have to redo it all. I've had to do that before, but I'm gonna go ahead and get this loaded, and so I hope y'all have a good. Tomorrow's Sunday, so I hope y'all have a good Sunday and a good week. And until next time, good night and goodbye.